Welcome back to Emma Pigeon Yoga Tube. I have been thinking about that line for at least 10 minutes, so I'm happy I got to share it with you. Welcome to my Yoga Tube channel. Thank you so much for joining me for yet another vinyasa flow. We're going to go ahead and get started on our backs today. I'd recommend having a block if you have one on hand. If not, it's never mandatory, just a suggestion. We'll go ahead and hug our knees into our chest once we get down onto our backs. Rock a little bit side to side, massage your low back. And then just start to circle out the knees one direction. Massaging around your sacrum, your tailbone, and then go the other way. Draw some circles with your knees away from each other. And towards each other. Hug your knees into your chest, wrap your arms around your shins. Tuck your chin a little bit, feel the back of your neck lengthen. So you almost feel like your neck is going to push down into the mat. Keep your right leg in, extend your left leg long. Flex your left foot so the heel stamps forward, and then roll out your right ankle. Wiggle your toes. Keep your shoulder blades down, tone your belly. Extend your right leg straight up, clasp your hands behind your hamstring, flex both feet. So the ball of the right foot's pushing up, the heel's pushing up. If you need a little bend in your knees, go for that, but try to push your right hip crease forward. Lengthen the sides of your waist, lengthen your spine. Find a deep breath if you haven't already. Slide your your hands up towards your calf or your ankle. Pick your head and shoulders up. So shoulder blades peel up off the mat. Now point your left toes. Left toes point. You can look at your left toes. Flex your right foot. Squeeze low belly. 3, 2, 1. Release head, shoulders down. Cross right leg over left leg. Think Gomukhasana legs. Kick your feet away from each other. Reach for your outer ankles. I like to grab the outer ankles and then flex the feet. Pull the feet away from each other. To me, that's how I feel the most stretch. Maybe for you, you like to point the feet. That's fine. If your tailbone's lifting, try to ground the tailbone back down towards the mat. Again, back of the neck lengthening. Release grip, left leg goes straight, take right leg across body, twist. So right knee over to the left, reach your right arm long. Take a breath in, notice that right lung, inflate like a balloon. Exhale, pushing any stale or stagnant air out. One more. Left leg stays as it is. Think tree pose on your back. Bottom of the right foot to the inner left thigh, hands to your belly. I want you to breathe into your hands. So breathe in, feel your belly expand into your hands. Exhale completely. Feel your belly deflate. One more. And out. Keep your right leg as it is. Slide the bottom of your left foot to meet the bottom of your right foot. Supta Baddha Konasana. Hands on the inner thighs is great. The more you press the outer edges of the feet together and almost think about opening your feet like a book. So the inner edges of the feet, the arches, are actually kind of going away from each other. That's going to help you feel more intensity in this pose. You're pushing the knife blade edge of your feet together. And then close your knees like a book. Hug your knees into your chest, reset. Long spine. Keep that left leg in, extend your right leg long. Flex your right foot. So the heel stamps forward. Maybe the heel even lifts up off the mat a little bit. You're flexing so much. Roll out your left ankle. Extend your left leg straight up. Clasp your hands behind your hamstring. Flex your feet. Shoulder blades heavy, little tuck of your chin. You feel the skull almost go backwards. Spread your toes apart. Notice if your low back is trying to lift. Ground it back down by engaging your core, pulling your belly button down. Slide your hands up, calf or ankle, head, shoulders lift. Elbows go a little bit out. You can keep flexing that left foot, but point your right toes. Right toes point. 3. Low back on the mat. 2. 1. Head, shoulders down. Left leg over right leg. Kick your feet away from each other. Reach for your outer ankles or your heels and try to pull the feet away from each other. Tailbone going forward, skull going backwards. One more breath. Release grip, right leg straight in front of you, left knee across the body, twist. Left arm reach out to the left. Take a deep breath, inflate your left lung. Exhale completely. And then do that again, deep breath in. Exhale. Keep your right leg straight. Think tree pose on your back. Bottom of the left foot to the inner right thigh. Hands to the low belly. You can flex your right foot. So imagine like you're standing in tree pose. That right foot will be flexed because you're standing. Try to breathe again into your hands. Again. Slide the bottom of your right foot to meet the bottom of your left foot. Supta Baddha Konasana. This time, arms by your side, palms down. So your hands are likely almost under your glutes. Drive the outer edges of your feet into the mat. Try to lift your hips up so you're in like a bound angle bridge pose. So your feet are pushing together and the outer edge is pushing down. Your hips might not go up super high. That's okay. Hold here, breathe. 3, 2, 1. Slow, lower hips down, knees in, and knees to chest. Grab behind your hamstrings, rock up and down your spine 3, 4, 5 times. Get some momentum. If you've been practicing with me for a while, we do this a lot, so maybe you try not to use your hands today. Feet wide, all the way up into a standing forward fold. Kind of like you're making a big U-turn. Once you get there, you can bend your knees a lot. Grab your elbows and sway gently side to side. If this is kind of the first movement of your day, it's morning time, I would recommend bending your knees even more. If you're feeling pretty loose, pretty good, the legs might be a little bit straighter. Don't force it. Try to take the rounding out of your back. And then switch the grip, opposite arm on top. You can add a little bob up and down. Try to draw your breath all the way into the bottom of your belly, fill up the bottom of your lungs, and then emptying your lungs out entirely. Release your arms and walk your hands over to the right. I like to tent the fingers. Maybe you grab onto your right ankle with both hands. Walk your hands over to the left. So the left knee can bend a little bit. You're pushing the hips over to the right. Maybe grabbing onto the left ankle with both hands. And release. Back through center. And keep your feet wide. Take a breath in. Lift up halfway. Breath out. Fold forward. Again, halfway lift. Fold forward, empty your lungs. One more time, halfway lift. Fold forward. Hands down, step back to plank pose. Little grip with your finger pads, pull your hip points forward. Dome your upper back. Try not to stick your butt up in the air. I'm going to tone your low belly. Pull your sternum forward. Shift your weight forward, gaze forward as you slowly lower all the way down to your belly, as slow as you can. Once you're down, untuck your toes, crawl your ribs a little bit more forward. Extend your arms forward with your palms down. On your next inhale, lift your legs and your arms up. So Superman, Superwoman pose, extended locust. Try to gaze down, plug your shoulders back, point your toes. 3, 2, 1. Feet stay lifted, cactus your arms. Plant your hands under your shoulders and push down. Roll up to cobra pose. Little bend in your elbows, behind your heart in. So shoulders down, away from ears. Instead of trying to squeeze your glutes, focus on the inner thighs melting towards the floor. Take a breath in. Breath out, go back, child's pose. Tailbone towards heels. Seal your lips if you haven't already. Breathe into the back of your throat. I'm going to try to lengthen the inhales, lengthen the exhales, drawing them out. Almost like you're breathing through a really small straw. Come up to tabletop, and then take yourself back to downward facing dog. Again, if you're early on in your day, you might need some movement here to kind of wake up your body. If you're feeling pretty loose, you can find some stillness. You can always keep your knees bent in down dog. Your heels are sinking towards the mat, so they don't need to touch. If your heels do touch the mat, try to lift your toes. You're flexing your foot, pushing your thigh bones back. Notice if you're arching your back and kind of dumping into your shoulders. That kind of feels like you're flipping your tailbone up. Instead of doing that, try to tuck your ribs in. You almost feel like your chest is coming a little bit forward. Still keep your neck relaxed. Your biceps are by your ears. Lift your heels up. Take as many little baby steps as you can, all the way up to the front of the mat. Little tiptoes. Once you get there, your big toes will touch. Do your best to line your toe tips up with your fingertips. On your inhale, lift up halfway, sternum forward. Exhale, fold forward, empty your lungs. Inhale, rise, reach your arms up, look to your thumbs. Exhale, hands to your heart center. Pause there. Hands at your heart, close your eyes. Feel your breath move with ease up and down your spine. If it feels a little stuck anywhere, just pay attention to that. Just notice how when you put attention on something, it slowly kind of starts to dissipate, disappear. And then the breath can flow a little bit more freely. Release your arms by your side, Samastitihi, Surya Namaskar A. Inhale, reach your arms up, look towards your thumbs. Exhale, fold forward, gaze towards your nose. Inhale, halfway lift, gaze forward. Exhale, hands down, step back, plank, and lower chaturanga. Your gaze is forward as you lower. Inhale, cobra or upward facing dog. I like to look up at the ceiling or gaze to third eye. Exhale, roll over your toes, Adho Mukha, downward facing dog, gaze to navel. The focus of the drishti points, the gaze points, is to keep your focus. It's easy for the mind to wander. This gives you yet another thing to focus on. So you've got your breath to focus on, you've got your drishti points, you've got the sensations in your body you can pay attention to. So whenever the mind starts to wander off the four corners of the mat, see if you can come back to some of these things, keeping your attention within the four corners of your mat. Breathe with purpose. You're always welcome to close your eyes during your practice as well. That takes away the drishti point, but it helps you feel more. So up to you. Lift your heels up, look forward. Step up to the front of your mat. If you're ready, you can jump. Lift up halfway. Gaze forward. Exhale, fold. Look to your nose. Inhale, rise. Reach up. Look up at your thumbs. Hands to your heart. And hands by your side. We'll do that again. Inhale, reach your arms up. Lengthen your waist. Exhale, fold forward. Halfway lift. Hands down, step on back, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing. Exhale, downward facing dog. Take your time. Grip with your finger pads. Push your inner palm down. Lengthen your waistline. Bottom ribs pull in. Hide your heels behind your ankles. Push your thigh bones back. Squeeze your legs. Hear your breath. One more. Heels up, look forward, step or jump to the front. Halfway lift, fold forward. Inhale, rise, reach up. Hands heart, hand side. One more, arms up, squeeze your legs, light toes. Exhale, fold, empty. Halfway lift. Hands down, step or jump back. Vinyasa with the pace of your breath. So we make that breath nice and slow, even, again, like we're sipping in and out through a straw. And the movement follows. So the movement shouldn't feel rushed. It should feel like it's the pace of your breath. Soften your jaw. Last breath. Heels up, look forward, step or jump to the front. Halfway lift, fold forward. Inhale, rise, reach up. Walk your right hand down your right leg and side bend to the right. More weight to the inner edges of your feet. Push your hips slightly left. Think about making a crescent moon shape with your body. Inhale, back up center, palms press. Exhale, take it to the left. Work your left fingertips down as far as you can. Feel your bottom ribs melt down. Push your hips to the right. Inhale, back up center, palms touch. Bind your hands behind your back. Knuckles towards the floor behind you. Behind your heart, push in. Sternum lift, chin up. Drop your head back. Bend your knees, crawl your ribs down your thighs, and fold forward. Shake your head no. And yes. Release your bind, bend your knees, Utkatasana, inhale. Exhale, fold forward. Lift up halfway. Left foot long, step back, runner's lunge. Left hand on the mat or a block close to your right foot, reach your right arm up. Stack your shoulders, push down and reach up. Push the back of your left knee up. Feel your right knee track in the direction of your second toe, so it's not falling out to the right. We're gonna roll to the outer edge of both feet. Turn all 10 toes to point to the right side of your mat. You might like to wiggle your right foot back a little bit. Then you'll lower your left hip towards the floor as your right arm reaches towards the back of your mat. So the outer side of your left leg is down on the mat. All 10 toes are pointing to the long side of your mat. You're gonna push your hips up, extend your right arm up and over into a sunrise lunge. You should feel a nice stretch on your outer hips. Right hand down, walk it all the way over to the left, wide leg forward fold. Adjust your feet as needed. Think chaturanga arms. As your hands push down, you're almost trying to slide them out forward with your hands. 3, 2, and 1. Lift up halfway. Walk it around to the back of your mat. Find a runner's lunge. Drop your right knee and reach both arms up. Anjaneyasana. Grab onto your right wrist, inhale. Exhale, lean over to the left. Inhale, back through center. Half splits, hands on the mat. Lead with your sternum. Pull your belly button back towards your tailbone, and then if that's going well, walk your hands over to the left. Stretch that left IT band, pull your toes back. Walk your hands back through center. Rebend your left knee, and then take your left leg back so you're in a 3-leg table. Hands on the mat, inhale. Exhale, crunch left knee over to the right elbow. Inhale, left leg back. Exhale, knee to nose, round your back. Inhale, left leg back. Left knee to the left elbow. Drop your left knee behind your left wrist like you would set up for pigeon pose. So this left shin is on the mat. I want you to slide your right knee up behind your left ankle. So the top of your left shin is down. Your left toes are pointing towards the long edge of your mat. You might need to look at the screen to see what I'm doing. We're going to slowly start to bring those hands up to our waist. I want you to push your hips a little bit forward. Don't force the pose. If this does not feel good, it's not worth doing. Feel your tailbone tuck towards the back of your right knee. If that's going well, you can lean back a little bit for 3, 2, 1. Push your butt back and hinge forward, placing your hands onto the mat where they just were. Tuck your right toes. Figure 4 down dog. Your left leg's already in a figure 4 shape. Flex your toes. Push your left shin, your left knee back. Great. Crunch, knee to nose, dome your back. Send your left leg up behind you. Find your 3-leg downward facing dog. Bend your left knee, stack your hips, and then roll out that left hip any way that feels good. Try to avoid compromising or dumping into the right side so the rest of the body stays sturdy and firm. Take an inhale. Exhale, step your left foot forward, runner's lunge. Right hand on the mat, left arm reaching up, twist. Push the back of your right knee up. Now we're going to roll to the outer edges of both feet. You might need to wiggle your left foot back a little bit. Lower the outside of your right leg all the way down towards the mat. Extend your left arm so it's parallel with your right leg, reaching for the front of your mat. Then push your hips up, extend your left arm up and over. Go palm down or pinky down. Hips up. Sunrise lunge. Walk it over to the right, wide leg forward fold. Hands walk back a little bit, tone your belly. Roll your weight forward without gripping into your toes. Lift your shoulders away from your ears. Lift up halfway and walk around to the front of your mat, runner's lunge. Drop your back knee and reach both arms up, Anjaneyasana B. Sink your hips forward, grab your left wrist, and then take it over to the right. Try to avoid gripping with your right toes. Ball of the foot, heel, push down. Back up center, half splits. Frame your right leg, or you can walk those hands over to the right for the IT stretch. Walk your hands back through center. Rebend your right knee. Keep your left knee on the mat. Go to a 3-leg table, right leg back. Inhale. Exhale, crunch over to the left elbow as best you can. Right leg going back. Knee to nose. Right leg back to the right elbow. Drop your right knee behind your right wrist, kind of like you'd set up for pigeon pose. Slide your left knee up behind your right ankle. I want your right toes pointing towards the long edge of your mat. The top of your right shin and ankle is down. Take it slow, but bring your hands to your waist. Feel your tailbone scoop to the back of your left knee. Notice you're not really arching your back here. Try to soften your bottom ribs. Stay there or start to hinge back ever so slightly. 3, 2, 1. Come back up, hinge forward. Butt goes back, hands down. Tuck your left toes, figure 4 down dog. Your right leg is already in that figure 4 shape. Just try to push your shin back, your knee back. Crunch, knee, nose. And then take it back, 3-leg downward dog. Right leg up, bend your knee, stack your hips, and then roll that around. Circles if that feels good. Firm up the entire rest of your body. Just moving into the right hip, right leg. All right, right foot down. Take a breath in. Exhale. Lift your heels, look forward. Step or jump to the front of your mat. Lift up halfway. Fold forward. Bend your knees, Utkatasana, inhale. Exhale, twist to the right. Knees a little left. So you get this wide arm twist, and then we're gonna hook it into a prayer twist. Left elbow outside right knee, right palm push down into left palm. Look down at your feet. Stay here, or try to lift your left foot up off the mat and hug your heel towards your butt. Stay nice and low, keep the twist. 3, 2, 1. Left foot back onto the mat. Inhale, rise, straight legs, lean back a little bit. Exhale, fold forward. Bend your knees deep, sit. Utkatasana, inhale. Wide arms, twist to the left. So you get most of the twist here, and then I want you to hook your right elbow outside your left knee. Left palm push down into right palm. Look down at your feet. Stay here, or float your right foot off the mat. Hug your heel towards your butt. Keep the twist, sternum towards thumbs. 3, 2, 1. Feet together. Unwind, rise. Exhale, fold forward. Heels up, knees go out, Malasana. Walk your hands forward. If Malasana, garland pose, doesn't work out, grab a yogi squat by jumping your feet the width of your mat and turning the toes out. If you're in yogi squat, you have a nice straight spine. If you're doing Malasana, rounding your back, maybe taking your hands back and grabbing your heels. Hug your knees in so your inner thighs are working. Round your back. Try to sink some weight to the inner edges of your feet. 3, 2, 1. Forearms on the mat. So usually we do Bakasana here. We're gonna try baby Bakasana. It's a little bit challenging. So your forearms, I like to get in from this Malasana position. Forearms on the mat. You're gonna shift your weight forward. Knees are gonna go to your armpits, to your triceps, just like they would in Bakasana. Lean your weight forward and try to pick your feet up. So your face is really close to the mat, just a few centimeters, maybe like an inch. Then you can try to step or jump your feet back into a forearm plank, but it's really challenging. I would just step back into forearm plank once you get there. We'll meet in a forearm plank for 3, 2, 1. Lower your hips, slide your hands back, and roll up to cobra pose. And then we'll go back to downward facing dog. Take a breath in. Exhale. Lift your right leg up behind you. Keep your hips square. Step your right foot forward. Rise up, warrior 1. Reach both arms up. Square your hips to the front of your mat as much as you can. Sweep your arms back and hinge. Press into your feet. Rise up, star pose. Side lunge twist. Bend your left knee, right hand on the mat. All 10 toes are still pointing to the long edge of your mat. Push your butt back and try to look up at your left thumb. Inhale, rise, star pose. Exhale to the front, warrior 2. Adjust your feet as needed. Soften your shoulders. Flip your right palm, reverse warrior. And then windmill down to the front of your mat and twist. Left hand down. You'll need to wiggle your right foot out a little bit. So wider stance. Now try to feel really sturdy through your legs. As you rise up, this right hand will find the back of your left leg and reach your left arm up. Maybe you like to lean back a little bit. Exhale, both hands on the mat, step back, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Lift your left leg up, inhale. Step forward softly. Warrior one. Sweep your arms back. Star pose, spin to the right. Side lunge twist. Bend your right knee, left hand down, reach your right arm up. Push your butt back. Star pose, rise. To the front, warrior two. Adjust your feet. Flip your left palm, reverse warrior, reach up and back. And then windmill down and twist. You'll need to wiggle your left foot to the left so you have a wide, sturdy base. When you come up, your left hand will find the back of your right thigh. Reach your right arm up and maybe lean back. Place both hands on the mat. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. We'll move one breath per movement. My breath pace could be faster or slower than yours, so try to stay true to your breath, but I'll guide you through the movements. Right leg, lift up. Step forward. Warrior one. Arms back. Star pose. Side lunge twist, left knee bend. Star pose. To the front, warrior two. Reverse. Windmill down and twist. Wider stance. Bring it up, right hand, back of left thigh, lean back. Exhale, vinyasa. Left leg, lift up. Step forward. Warrior one. Arms back. Star pose. Side lunge twist. Left hand down. Star pose. Warrior two to the front. Reverse. Windmill down and twist. Wider stance. Come up, right hand reach up as you lean back. Hands on the mat, step back, vinyasa. One more time with your breath. Right leg, inhale. Step. Virabhadrasana one. Sweep. Star. Side lunge twist. Star. Virabhadrasana two, front. Reverse. Runner's lunge twist. Come up, left arm reach. And take it down, vinyasa. Left leg, inhale. Step forward. Vira one. Arms back. With your breath, star. Side lunge twist. Star. Warrior two, front. Reverse. Runner's lunge twist. Bring it up, right arm reach. Hands to the mat, vinyasa. Meet in a child's pose. Come back to your breath if it feels stuck, shallow, choppy. Notice if there's anywhere in your body where your breath really feels like it gets stuck. your energy feels like it gets stuck, and just pay some extra attention to that space. So you're going to work through obstacles here. You can never, control the obstacles. There will always be obstacles, roadblocks, things that get in our way. We are just practicing how to manage when things feel stuck, stagnant, paying attention to those things instead of avoiding them. It's easy to avoid. And when you look at what's not working, it's the best way to solve it. Dissolve it, watch it disappear. If you just keep ignoring it, there's no way it's going to get better or go away. All right, let's meet back in a tabletop. I want you to bring your thumbs to touch in tabletop, and then kick your feet out, or take your knees out wide. So knees wide, hands close, and then walk your hands back a little bit. So there's like a lot of space in the front of your mat for you. Then I want you to tuck your toes and lift your hips up. So you're in a short, wide down dog. And your feet are really close to the back of your mat. You'll see why it's not super important, but I prefer, like, if you have a long mat, and if you don't use your entire mat, try to go more towards the back of your mat here. I want you to take your right hand and reach for your left ankle, and then bump your hips a little bit to the right. Think about your left hand pushing forward. Try to pull your torso to the left. 3, 2, 1. Right thumb meets left thumb. Step right foot outside right pinky finger. So your left foot's still near the back of your mat. So you hopefully have a little bit of space out in front of you. If not, it's not a big deal. You're in a lizard pose. Make sure your right toes stay pointing forward. You're not letting that right leg fall out. Right knee hug in. Stay here or drop down to your forearms. Lizard pose. Last 2 breaths. Onto your hands if you're not already. Block might be helpful underneath your left hand. Press down into your left hand and your right foot. Try to slide and kick this left leg through. So your left leg is straight and likely not hanging off of your mat a lot because we had some space in front of us. I want you to have at least one fist in between your left thigh and your right foot. Make sure your right toes point forward. Reach your arms up. Dive inside your right leg and reach for your left foot. If this works out well, use your right tricep to block your right shin. Pull your sternum forward, kind of like you're doing a breaststroke. Maybe binding your hands, grabbing onto your left wrist. Still folding forward, hug your right knee in, flex your left toes. 3. And push the ball of your right foot down. 2. 1. Pull yourself back up, release your bind. Cross your right ankle over your left thigh and bend your left knee so you're in a seated figure 4. Flex your right toes. Think about pushing the right knee away from you. This might be enough for you. If you'd like, you can hook your right tricep on your right foot and twist. And then reach your right arm out in front of you. So you're kind of trying to turn your chest to the left, pressing the right foot into the right tricep and vice versa. Maybe even bringing your hands to heart center as you do this for 3, 2, 1. Okay, release that. Left leg straight. Right foot plants outside of your left knee, but I want you to turn your toes towards the long edge of your mat. You're going to roll to the outside edge of your left leg. So all 10 toes, again, are pointing towards the long edge of your mat. Plant your left hand about a foot outside of your left hip. Option for the left hand on a block. Now, I'm going to take this right tricep and block the right shin again. Again, kind of like I'm doing a breaststroke, and try to reach my right hand for the outside of my left ankle. My thumb is pointing down. Now, from here, I'm going to roll my weight forward, And maybe try to lift this left leg up off the mat into a baby grasshopper pose. Now, the block is somewhat helpful. I honestly don't find the block that helpful, so I prefer to do it without the block for 3, 2, and 1. Lower your hips down. It's a challenging pose, but the most important part is getting the bind. The bind kind of helps you stay in place. If you release the bind, you're definitely going to fall out of the pose. So if you can't quite reach your foot, don't worry about it. You could also grab a strap and put that around your foot and hold onto the strap. Now from here, turn your right toes to point forward. So you want to keep that leg on top. We're going to hook the left elbow outside the right leg and twist to the right. This should feel pretty nice, a counter stretch. Flex your left toes, look over your right shoulder. Now, hopefully you didn't think that was the most challenging part. This is probably the most challenging part. So I want you to plant your hands off to the left and start to roll to the left. As you do this, you'll lift your hips up. Your right knee will come to the mat. Then you'll spin your right shin behind you so the toes are pointing off the long edge of your mat. Your right fingertips are pointing towards the back of your mat, and we're going to meet in a modified side plank. So I'll do that movement again so you can see. So we started by facing the front of the mat, right leg on top. You plant your hands off to the left. Lift your hips, roll onto that right knee. The shin spins behind you. So now your left leg is straight. The outer edge of your left foot is parallel with the front of your mat. Your right fingertips point towards the back of your mat. Push down into your right hand and your left foot. Pick your right knee up and kick it out into a fall-in triangle. 3, make sure your right shoulder is over your right wrist. 2, 1, left hand on the mat, roll onto your left toes, square your hips for a moment. Feel that nice stretch in your outer right hip. Cross your right ankle over your left thigh, so you're in a figure 4 down dog. Now we'll be walking our hands all the way back towards our left foot, meeting in a balancing figure 4. So you're standing on your left foot, right ankle over left thigh. You're facing towards the back of your mat. Now you can stay here in this figure 4, or like we did seated, you can try to hook your right tricep outside of the bottom of your right foot, and then maybe come into a prayer hands. Think about pushing your right knee out to the right. Stay here or open up your arms. Stay here or grasshopper pose. Your hands will plant off of the mat. Your right foot's going to stand on your right tricep, and then you'll kick your left leg over to the right. Very challenging pose. A little bit more intense than baby grasshopper because you're balancing on your hands. The bottom of your right foot is basically standing on your right tricep. You're pushing down into that. And release. Meet in a figure 4, slide your right leg over your left leg, and then walk your hands over to the left, or to the right. So your ankles are crossed right in front of left. Keep your ankles crossed, walk your hands through center and all the way forward until you can slide that right knee up behind your right wrist in pigeon pose. This was a really, really challenging sequence. So not only challenging poses, but the transitions themselves were quite different from stuff we've done before. So I tried to move a little bit slower so you can grasp it and maybe rewatch it. If it feels like it doesn't flow, try to do it a few times until it makes sense. I know the first time it can feel a little bit clunky and like you're all over the place. Let's say 3 more breaths. Slowly start to walk your hands back. Kind of roll onto your right hip. Keep your left leg extended straight. Bring the bottom of your right foot to your inner left thigh. Kind of twist to the right first. So I like to kind of frame this right leg. Dive the left shoulder inside. Reach your right arm up and over for a side stretch. 3, 2, 1. Lift yourself back up. Right hand outside right hip. Roll onto your right shin, kind of like a modified fallen triangle, stargazer pose. And then your left hand will come down. We'll step back into downward facing dog with our feet wide. So now we're facing the back of the mat, but I want you to back up so your feet are kind of near the back, which is technically the front of your mat. So you're facing backwards, the feet are wide, and your thumbs are touching, shortening that stance, and that means you hopefully have some space out in front of you. Take your left hand, reach for your right ankle, and think about pulling your torso through and trying to bump your hips to the left. Left thumb meets right thumb, step left foot outside left pinky finger. You can even wiggle that right foot back a little more. You're in a lizard pose, hands inside or forearms down inside your left leg. Left knee hugging in, so you're not letting that leg fall out. Make sure the toes point forward. Try to avoid dropping your neck completely, flat spine, last 2 breaths. Back up onto your hands, maybe right hand on the block. Press down into your right hand, left foot, try to drag, slide this right foot through. You kick that right leg through. Left knee stays bent, foot on the mat. Make sure you have at least one fist in between your right thigh and your left foot. Reach your arms up, dive inside your left thigh, and reach for your right foot. If that's going well, your left tricep can block your left shin and go for a bind. You'd be grabbing your right wrist. Keep flexing your right toes and folding over your right leg. Push the ball of your left foot down as you hug your knee in. To drop your right shoulder for 3. 2. 1 more. All right, release spine, lift yourself up. Cross your left ankle over your right thigh. Seated figure 4. Bend your right knee. You might stay here if this is enough. This is an intense stretch, so feel free to stay. Otherwise, hook your left tricep outside of your left knee. Start with left arm straight, twisting to the right. I'm going to push the tricep into the foot and vice versa, almost like you're trying to push that left knee to the left. Stay there, or prayer hands, twisting to the right for 3. 2. 1. Release prayer hands. Release your arms. Extend your right leg straight. Place your left foot outside of your right knee, but turn your toes to point to the long edge of your mat. You'll actually turn all 10 toes to point to the long edge of your mat, so you're kind of on your side, just like how when we did that sunrise lunge in the beginning, we were in this shape as well. Now from here, option to place a block underneath that right hand. I'm kind of going to lean forward off the long edge of my mat so my left arm can sweep in front of my left shin and grab the outside edge of my right foot. I have to grab that, otherwise the pose is kind of going to fall apart, so I need to have this grab. You could always use a strap. Then, once I have that, my thumb down, I'm going to shift my weight forward and kick my right leg out to the left. And release. So for me, this side is a lot harder. Don't force the pose. If you feel like cramping in your back, if you feel like your shoulder's pulling, it's really not worth it. This is supposed to be like a fun challenge. I actually kind of find this side easier without the block, ironically. So give that a shot. It's called baby grasshopper pose. And then we'll meet facing the back of the mat. Keep this left leg on top of the right. Hook your right elbow outside and take a twist to the left. This should feel pretty nice. Flex your right toes. Now the tricky part, unwinding. So you're gonna walk your hands over to your right, lift your hips up and roll onto your left shin, left knee, and then opening it up to the right. Modified side plank. So again, I'll do that again so you can see. We were in that twist, planting my hands to the right, lifting my hips, rolling onto the left knee, left shin, and meeting in a modified side plank. My left fingers are pointing to the front of my mat. My right toes are pointing towards the long edge of my mat, so the outer edge of my right foot is parallel with the back of my mat. Press down into your left hand and your right foot, and then kick your left leg out, fall in triangle. Left shoulder over the wrist, 3, 2, 1. Right hand down, roll onto your right toes for a moment, square off your hips. You should feel a nice stretch in your outer hips here. Cross left ankle over right thigh, figure 4, down dog. Walking those hands all the way back towards your right foot, so you're in a figure 4 at the back of your mat, balancing on your right leg. Figure 4 pose might be enough for you. If you'd like to give it a shot, just like we did seated, hook your left tricep outside of the bottom of your left foot, press your right palm down into your left palm. You've got those prayer hands, you might like to open up your arms. For the arm balance, you're gonna bend your right knee and then plant your hands so all 10 fingers are pointing in the direction of the front of your mat. Shift your weight over to the right a little bit. Your left foot is standing on your left tricep, right foot kicking out to the left. Grasshopper pose. And release. So you have to have a really open left hip to do this pose. That's why we warmed it up adequately. You could start with your knee bent and then work to straighten the right leg. Lots of options. From that figure 4, slide your left foot in front of your right foot. Walk your hands to the left. Wow, I'm exhausted. All right, walk your hands back through center. Keep ankles crossed as you walk it forward. And just slide that left knee up behind your wrist, pigeon pose. That was a tough few poses in there. I've got a few classes where we do this grasshopper pose. Some of them we do baby grasshopper as well. I don't teach this super often, actually, so it's always kind of like a fun challenge for students, but it's not something I would probably want to do every week. It just takes a lot of explaining and a lot of prep to get into the poses. So that's why I tried to give you guys like a nice, simple sequence in the middle where we could just kind of flow, 1 breath per movement. Not a lot of cues needed because this little sequence, even though there wasn't a lot of poses in here, was very cue heavy. Few more breaths. Pigeon pose. Start to walk your hands back. Roll onto your left hip. Keep your right leg straight. Bottom of left foot, inner right thigh, but your hips are a little bit more open than 90 degrees. Kind of frame your left leg. Lean to the right and take a side stretch. Left arm going up and over. Palm down or pinky down. Bring yourself back up. Left hand outside left hip. Stargazer pose. Roll onto your left shin. Push your hips forward like a modified fallen triangle. Lower your hips back down. Extend your left leg out. Wide legs. You're facing the right side of your mat. Flex your feet and walk your hands forward. Keep your feet flexed, toes pointing up. Try to avoid those toes falling inwards. Walk your hands back towards you. Swing your right leg to meet your left leg. Plant your feet and lie all the way down onto your back. Walk your feet closer to you, arms by your side. You might even wiggle your shoulder blades a little bit more towards each other. If your low back lifts off the mat, tuck your pelvis. Feel your low back glue down. Keep that tuck of your pelvis as you lift your hips up, bridge pose. Heels drive down, push the balls of the feet down, but don't feel too much grip or pressure with your toes. Lower your hips down, take a breath. Number 2 of 3. Hips up, bridge pose, maybe bridge with a bind. Walk your shoulder blades a little bit more underneath you. Push your chest towards the space behind you. Drive your heels down and forward. Don't let those knees fall out. 3. 2. 1. Release spine, slow lower. Take a breath. Last one, bridge or upward facing bow. Hands by your head for up bow. If you've never tried it before, I really recommend doing it with a teacher in person. Otherwise, hips up, maybe push into your hands, pushing your chest almost like through your biceps towards the space behind you. Relax your neck, push your spine in behind your heart. Same thing with your feet, heels, balls of the feet, lighter toes. 3. 2. And 1. Chin tuck, slow lower. Knees into your chest when you're ready. Grab your hamstrings, rock up and down your spine. 3, 4, maybe 5 times. You don't need as much momentum as you needed in the beginning. We'll just meet with the legs extending straight. Once you get there though, kind of grab your butt, move it back so your pelvis tilts forward. Little bend in the knees is great. Arms up and fold. You could even separate your feet a little bit. So this was a modification I learned for like prenatal students so you have more space for your belly, but I actually just really like the feet wide too. I find it a little bit more restorative. You could even go ahead and place like a block in between your calves, your shins. Slowly start to make your way back and all the way down onto your back. Legs up, waterfall, or take it all the way over, plow pose. Waterfall or plow pose. Elbows can walk in so the hands can support the low back. Back of your skull pressed down. From either waterfall or plow pose, you have the option to take your legs up, shoulder stand. Gaze to toes. If you haven't done plow pose yet, go there, or ear pressure pose. An option to grab the outside edges of the mat or bind your hands. Slowly start to roll yourself down one vertebrae at a time. Matsyasana, fish pose. Your inner thighs kind of spiral together and down in fish pose. Your toes point. Your back is not on the mat. You're pushing your spine in behind your heart. Try to think about spreading your chest apart, your collarbones apart. Drop your head back. Take a breath in. Tongue out, say ah. One more. Slowly lower your head onto the mat. Hug your knees into your chest. And then take your knees out wide, happy baby. Grab your feet or ankles, rock a little bit side to side. Gentle tuck of your chin, so the entire spine is on the mat. Release that grip. Bring your knees together and your arms out wide. If you prefer a different twist, go for it. Take your knees to the left and look to your right. Relax your inner thighs. Start to release your breath. Just allow your breath to be natural. Hopefully feeling the ease, the effortlessness at which your breath is moving through your body at this point. Bring your knees back through center and over to the right. Look off to the left. Maybe the areas that were previously a little stuck, your energy or your breath felt a little choppy. See if those areas feel a little bit more smoothed out. Bring your knees back through center, knees to chest, squeeze, forehead to knees. Extend your legs, sprawl your arms, set up for Savasana. Adjust your body any way you'd like. If you have the opportunity to stay for a long time, I always recommend pausing the video and staying for, as long as you can. 10 minutes is great. 5 minutes is great. We'll be here for about 10 breaths. No need to count your breath. Just relax, enjoy, and you can wait for the sound of my voice. Take a deep breath in. Exhale. Wiggle your fingers, your toes. Hopefully feeling a little bit less obstacles, a little bit less stagnant energy in your body. Feel your energy, your breath move with a little bit more ease. Stretch your arms overhead, point your toes. Hug your knees in and roll onto your right or left side. Pausing in that fetal position. The goal is not to remove every single obstacle. The obstacles will always be there, things that inhibit us, things that throw us off. The goal is to how we react, how we move through those. So when you bring attention to those areas that feel a little stuck, a little stagnant, just not even moving into them, just paying attention, giving them the attention they need and letting them go. Oftentimes, at least in the body, when you do that, your breath feels stuck, you pay attention, you can move it there. You move through that. Same thing in those other spaces. Just give it the attention it deserves, and then let it go. Again, the goal is not to remove every obstacle or roadblock, just to adjust how you react. Can you be a little bit calmer, more graceful, instead of just avoiding and taking a different route? Because the roadblocks then will just, get bigger. The obstacles will become more challenging. Bring your hands to your heart center as you come up to a comfortable seat. Take your time. Take a breath in and sigh. Thank you for choosing to practice with me. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste. Thank you guys for choosing to practice with me on my YouTube channel. I so appreciate it. If you like this class, give it a thumbs up. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And I hope to see you back next week. If you did or did not enjoy this class, make sure to check out some of my others. They're all, similar style, but a little bit different. Each class is pretty unique with lots of different transitions and poses. So make sure you check something else out, whether you did or did not enjoy this format. Hopefully we see you back next week, and have a wonderful day.